Hello everyone, you are watching Learn Easy with us. We provide educational and training videos every day. To stay updated with our latest content, please click the subscribe button and hit the bell icon so you never miss a video. Please share your valuable feedback in the comments below after watching the video. Without any delay, let's get started. Ready? Let's dive into today's topic.
Yesterday, you saw that we could use the len function to get the number of characters in a string. So for example, when I write len hello and I print this out, we end up with 5. There's 5 characters in the string hello. Now, here's a question. What happens if instead of counting the number of characters in a string, what if I put in a number instead? And I wanted to know how many digits are in this number. Now, if I go ahead and run this code, you'll see that it actually crashes. I get a whole bunch of red text and it tells me that there is a type error and something about the type int. So what is all of this about? Well, in order to understand it, we first have to learn about data types. Now, on day 1, we already explored this data type called strings. Now, you're probably not going to be surprised to learn that there's a whole lot more other data types out there. And today, we're going to explore some of the most important and some of the most basic data types, such as strings, integers, floats, and Booleans. And we'll explore each of these in detail. So let's take a look at some of the data types. So we already learned about strings, right? And we know that this is just a string of characters. So the word hello is comprised of these 5 characters strung together. And we always know that strings, when we create them, we have to create them with these double quotes around. Now, because this is a string of characters, we can actually pull out each character individually. So we could, for example, instead of just writing hello, we can add some square brackets. So take a look on your keyboard and see where those are. And inside the square brackets, we can put the index or the position of the character that we want. So for example, if I wanted to have the first character out of this word hello, I would put 0 right here. And if I go ahead and print what this actually will give me, you'll see that you get capital H because that is the first character of this string. And it's really important to remember that programmers always start counting from 0 because we work with binary, zeros and ones. So whenever you want to get hold of the first character or the first of anything, it always is at 0. So this method of pulling out a particular element from a string is called subscripting. And the number in between the square brackets determines which character you're going to pull out. And it just goes up from 0 to 1 to 2 and so on and so forth. So whenever you get a result that's just off by 1, then remember to check whether if you've started counting from 0 or if you started counting from 1. Now, you can of course extend this and get hold of the last character. So pause the video and see if you can change the code so that O gets printed out here. All right, so this is as simple as simply counting from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So if we change this to 4 and we run our code, then you'll see that O gets printed instead of the H.
Now, there's also a secret trick that not many people know, even seasoned Python developers, and it's the fact that you can actually use negative indices. So instead of specifying the position as a positive number, you can also use a negative number. And -1 means get hold of the last character in the string. So we can go ahead and run this and you can see it's also O. And we can start counting backwards as well, starting from the end, going to the beginning. So that's just a quick tip.
So by using these square brackets and putting a number inside, we're able to dissect our string and pull out individual characters as and when we need it. And this will come in really handy in a lot of the programs that you'll write in the future. Now, it's important to remember though that just because I can write a number like 1, 2, 3, as long as it's capped inside these double quotes, then this is not treated as a number by the computer. It's treated just as any other piece of text. You can't, for example, say, what is 1, 2, 3 plus 3, 4, 5? If I try to print this, what do you think will happen? Do you think it will give me 1, 2, 3 plus 3, 4, 5 in the traditional sense, like calculating it? Or do you think it'll do something else? All right, let's hit run. And we get 1, 2, 3, 3, 4, 5. So it's basically just concatenated these 2 strings together, just as we have done with other strings like hello and world, right? Because it sees the data type of these 2 pieces of data as strings, when we use the plus sign, it will actually just concatenate these 2 things instead of doing a mathematical operation. Now, if we wanted to do that, then we actually have to declare our number as a number data type. So one of the most common that you'll see is called an integer. So this is programming lingo for just whole numbers, numbers without any decimal places. And in order to create an integer or declare an integer data type, all you have to do is just write the number without anything else. So now, if I just write the numbers 1, 2, 3 plus 3, 4, 5, and then I go ahead and print this, then you'll see that we actually get 4, 6, 8. So it's actually being calculated because I've got actual numbers instead of strings. Just as we have some useful things that we can do with strings, there's some really handy things that you can do with integers. Commonly, when we write large numbers, at least in the UK or in the US, we like to put commas in between the thousands. So when we think of large numbers with these commas in between to split it into an easier to understand number, in Python, we can replace those commas simply with underscores, and it will be interpreted by the computer as if you had written this. So the computer actually removes those underscores and ignores it. The benefit is just for us humans to be able to visualize it more easily. So I mentioned that all whole numbers, no matter if they're positive or negative, are called integers in programming. So what do you call it when you actually have decimal places? Well, they're called a float. And this is short for a floating point number. So for example, if you had the numbers of pi, you have 3.14159. And this, because it has a decimal place, is now a float data type. So if you think of the decimal point as being able to float around the number because it could occur at any point, then you've got yourself a floating point number. Now, the final data type is something called a Boolean. And this is very simple. It only has two possible values, true or false. Now, note how these values always begin with a capital T or a capital F, and they don't have any quotation marks around them or anything. So this is actually a data type which is going to be used a lot in your programs to test if something is true or if something is false, and for your program to respond accordingly. So we're going to be using this a lot more in the future. Now that you've seen a lot of the basic data types, strings, integers, floats, and Boolean, I want you to head over to the next lesson where I've got a quiz for you to see if you've made this knowledge your own. So head over to the
Thanks for watching the video till the end. Please leave your thoughts below so we can discuss more about the topic. If you'd like to suggest a video that could help the community, feel free to message me on X or Instagram. We also share short videos on Instagram, so make sure to follow us there. Feel free to reach out. We'd love to hear from you, and might even create a video based on your suggestion.